Imagine the most electrifying star in women's basketball, barely a year into her professional career, quietly delivering an ultimatum that could shake an entire franchise to its core. A demand not for money, not for fame, but for loyalty, for teammates she trusts implicitly. Caitlin Clark, the face of the WNBA's new generation, isn't just a player. She's a force capable of bending an organization to her will. And right now, she's holding the Indiana Fever hostage. Not with threats of leaving the league, but by threatening to leave her own team if two crucial players, her closest allies, aren't kept intact. This is more than drama. This is power, influence, and strategy colliding in a way the WNBA has never seen before. Caitlin Clark arrived in the WNBA amid a whirlwind of expectation. Her college career at Iowa didn't just break records, it shattered them. Every game she played was a cultural event. Social media exploded. Fans camped outside arenas. Television networks fought for airtime. She was more than an athlete. She was a movement. When the Indiana Fever drafted her first overall, the franchise didn't just acquire a player. They inherited a phenomenon. Attendance doubled. Merchandise flew off the shelves. Ratings skyrocketed. Clark wasn't just performing. She was transforming women's basketball into a mainstream spectacle. But with fame came leverage. Clark quickly realized the rare power she held. Few rookies in sports history wielded such influence after just one season. Typically, superstars earn this sway over years, championships, and accolades. Clark? She achieved it with one season, her marketability, and her undeniable talent. Dialogue snippet, reenactment style. Clark in private meeting. I've earned my place, but I can't win alone. These two players, Hull and Cunningham, are non-negotiable. If they go, I go. The drama centers on Lexie Hull and Sophie Cunningham, two players whose futures were suddenly hanging by a thread. Hull, a second-round draft pick in 2022, had spent her rookie season mostly in the shadows, logging minimal minutes and far from anyone's headlines. Few expected her to make a lasting impact, but 2024 told a different story. When injuries struck the Fever roster, Hull seized her opportunity. She became a revelation, hitting over 40% from beyond the arc, covering the floor with relentless energy, and showing defensive instincts that transformed her from a marginal player into an indispensable asset. Her growth was not just statistical, it was psychological. She had evolved into someone coaches could trust in the most pressure-packed moments, a player who elevated the team simply by being on the floor. And yet, despite her meteoric rise, the front office quietly prepared to let her go. A calculated, cost-saving decision so cold, it stunned even the most seasoned insiders. Cunningham's journey was equally striking. Acquired mid-season from the Phoenix Mercury, she brought veteran experience, playoff know-how, and a steadying presence that the Fever desperately needed. Almost instantly, she found a rhythm with Clark. Their synergy was palpable. Cunningham's clutch shooting, unshakable leadership, and ability to anticipate plays complemented Clark's explosive scoring and playmaking. Yet, despite this chemistry, Cunningham's future was precarious. As an unrestricted free agent, she risked being nothing more than a one-season rental, discarded the moment financial calculations dictated. For Clark, the choice was stark and uncompromising: protect her teammates' futures or conform to a rigid, financially constrained system that threatened to dismantle the core she had helped nurture. But exercising this loyalty came at a price: the potential estrangement of other franchise pillars, most notably veteran all-star Kelsey Mitchell. Mitchell, who had been the backbone of the Fever for years, suddenly faced the harsh reality that her history, her contributions, and her leadership could be overshadowed by the loyalty Clark demanded. Chemistry, trust, and personal bonds had now become as critical to the franchise's success as statistics, salary caps, or strategic plans. To understand the stakes, You need to grasp the WNBA's financial reality. In 2025, the salary cap per team sits at roughly $1.46 million divided among 12 players. To put that in perspective, many NBA benchwarmers earn more than that on their own. Superstars like Ajo, Wilson max out at $241,000. Most players earn between $60,000 and $100,000 per season, often relying on overseas contracts to make ends meet. Every decision carries weight. Every roster choice ripples across the organization. For the Indiana Fever, this wasn't just budgeting. It was a high-stakes balancing act. Keeping veteran leaders like Hull and Cunningham would strain the salary cap to the breaking point. It could mean sacrificing other key players, restructuring contracts, or sacrificing flexibility for the future. Fever GM Amber Cox summed it up bluntly. "We can't afford everyone, Caitlin. The math doesn't work. It's impossible." Clark's response was icy, deliberate, and calculated. "Then you make it work. Hull and Cunningham stay, or I walk. I'm not negotiating that." This wasn't an emotional outburst, it was strategic brilliance. Clark wasn't reacting in anger. She was making a calculated move, leveraging her superstar status to protect her team's core chemistry. Every word, every pause, every glance carried the weight of a chess master plotting 10 moves ahead. In a league where dollars are scarce and loyalty is rare, Clark's stance signaled that some things, team unity, trust, leadership, were worth more than money itself. Clark's ultimatum exemplifies a new breed of athlete, one unwilling to suffer quietly under bureaucracy, salary constraints, or outdated hierarchies. She belongs to a generation of players who grew up idolizing NBA superstars who shaped their own destinies. LeBron James orchestrating the decision, Kevin Durant redefining team loyalty, Kyrie Irving charting his own path, and James Harden demanding trades to match his vision. These athletes learned that influence isn't something quietly earned over decades. It is seized, often ruthlessly, in decisive moments of leverage. Clark isn't waiting to prove herself over years of service. She's asserting control immediately, leveraging not only her extraordinary skill but also her cultural influence, her marketability, and her ability to draw attention to the WNBA on a national and global scale. This isn't a mere personal preference. It's a deliberate strategy, a calculated insistence on a system that maximizes performance, chemistry, and winning potential. Every detail matters: spacing on the court, defensive coverage, shooting reliability, and understanding her unique passing vision. The Tres Leches trio, Clark, Hull, Cunningham, is more than just a nickname or a marketing hook. It represents a precise basketball philosophy and an unspoken code of trust. Hull's deadly three-point accuracy, Cunningham's veteran savvy and clutch shooting, and Clark's playmaking brilliance form a symbiotic relationship where each elevates the other's strengths. Clark knows instinctively who complements her game and who can sustain the rhythm, energy, and confidence she needs to dominate. She's unwilling to compromise that chemistry for organizational convenience or financial expediency. This level of foresight and strategic thinking from a player barely a year into her career is unprecedented. It challenges traditional notions of hierarchy in professional sports and forces franchises to adapt or risk losing their most transformative talent. Clark's actions are reshaping the very concept of player power, demonstrating that on-court talent, when combined with vision and strategic thinking, can influence entire organizations before a single championship ring is earned. But power comes with consequences. Veteran star Kelsey Mitchell, loyal to the Fever for 7 years, suddenly finds herself in an impossible position. The player who carried the team through lean years, mentored younger teammates, and consistently delivered elite scoring now risks becoming collateral damage in Clark's strategic maneuver. Every point she has scored, every late-game heroics, every moment of loyalty, suddenly weighed against the preference of a rising superstar. Loyalty, performance, and history matter little when a generational talent dictates the roster. Inside the Fever's front office, the pressure was palpable. GM Amber Cox reportedly held multiple marathon meetings, shuffling spreadsheets, analyzing cap implications, and listening to Clark's demands with a mixture of awe and apprehension. The usual off-season control, once a sanctuary for calculated, emotion-free decision-making, was slipping through their fingers. Clark wasn't merely asking, she was issuing a non-negotiable directive, forcing the organization to act during a period when they normally wielded complete authority. Executives reportedly debated quietly, weighing not only salaries but the human element, team chemistry, player morale, and fan perception. Every scenario seemed to carry risk. If they refused Clark, they might lose the league's brightest star. If they complied, they could alienate Mitchell, disrupt veteran leadership, and set a dangerous precedent where one player could override institutional decisions. The ethical dilemma was stark. Should one athlete, however talented, wield veto power over an entire roster? Clark's bold move raises questions about fairness, governance, and the very definition of leadership in sports. Next season, if she challenges coaching choices, demands trades, or reshapes team culture according to her vision, the franchise could be permanently altered. The line between player influence and organizational authority had been blurred, and the reverberations would be felt long after this offseason ended. The ethical dilemma was stark. Should one athlete, however talented, wield veto power over an entire roster? Clark's bold move raises questions about fairness, governance, and the very definition of leadership in sports. Next season, if she challenges coaching choices, demands trades, or reshapes team culture according to her vision, the franchise could be permanently altered. The line between player influence and organizational authority had been blurred, and the reverberations would be felt long after this off-season ended. Adding to the chaos, the WNBA's collective bargaining agreement is set to expire October 31st. Salary negotiations, potential strikes, and labor disputes cast a shadow over the entire league. The Fever's hand was forced: secure Clark's core now, or risk losing control when financial rules and player demands collide. Clark's ultimatum is a gamble. Act decisively with incomplete information, or wait and risk losing Hull, Cunningham, and the chemistry that makes her unstoppable. Clark's agent. This isn't just about salaries. It's about securing the team she needs to win. Delay, and it's gone. Every front office across the league watched closely. Clark wasn't just influencing the Fever, she was reshaping expectations for player power and organizational strategy. Analysts and executives scrambled to assess the potential domino effect. If one rookie could wield this level of influence, what did that mean for future drafts, trades, or free agency negotiations? For the first time, a young player was proving that cultural impact and marketability could rival on-court performance when it came to organizational decision-making. Internally, the Fever's executives faced sleepless nights, poring over salary projections, potential offers, and hypothetical scenarios. A wrong move could destabilize the franchise for years, yet hesitating risked losing Clark altogether. The tension wasn't just financial, it was deeply personal. The relationships Clark had built with Hull and Cunningham weren't easily replicated. Losing that trio could dismantle a fragile but essential team dynamic, undermining the very plan that made the Fever a contender. In an environment already strained by looming labor disputes, Clark's proactive strategy sent shockwaves across the league. Other players took notice, wondering if they too could assert similar control over their destinies. The balance of power between players and management was shifting, and one decisive off-season maneuver had the potential to rewrite the rules entirely. Clark's actions aren't universally celebrated. Fans and analysts are divided. Some hail her as a trailblazer, demanding what she needs to succeed. Others fear destabilization, betrayal of veteran players, and the erosion of team governance. But there's no denying the generational shift. The WNBA, like the NBA before it, is witnessing players seize agency early, wielding cultural and market influence as leverage. The league is evolving. Athletes are no longer employees. They are partners, negotiators, and architects of their own careers. Caitlin Clark's ultimatum may have started as a personal stand for her teammates, but its ripple effect is league-wide. It raises fundamental questions. How much power should a player hold? How do franchises balance loyalty, financial reality, and winning strategy? And most importantly, can one rookie change the trajectory of an entire sport? The answer is still unfolding. But one thing is certain. Caitlin Clark has announced, without question, that the future of women's basketball will be defined not just by talent, but by courage, influence, and the audacity to demand what you deserve.